print and cut feature on your Silhouette Cameo, and if your paper doesn't have slits in the back, it can be difficult to get the sticker released from the paper. So one thing you can do to help that is make kind of like a double layered sticker. So what you are going to do, this is a quick little print and cut, and this is the easiest way I have found using you could do this on a Cameo 3 or a Cameo 4. It has to have the auto blade feature. You cannot do this will not work with the ratchet blade, but the auto blade will work for this. So real quick, what we're going to do is, I already opened up a new document. Well, I'll go ahead and open up a new document. It's just a blank document. I have my Cameo Plus. I'm going to use a 12 by 12 matte. I could use up to 15, but I don't need to. And then my media size, it's just a standard letter size piece of printable vinyl sticker paper that I purchased from Online Labels, and it's, like I said, it's normal, just your regular letter, 8.5 by 11. So I'm going to leave that the same. Go to your registration marks, click them on. You can see this pops up, and the thing about the print and cut is it eliminates this portion of your paper. So you can't put any design or anything in the gray area or outside of the red bounding box. So you're left with this small rectangle, odd-shaped rectangle, to fill with anything that you want to print and then cut. And you lose a lot of space that way. So one thing you can do to get a little bit of space back is change this inset. So what I'm going to do right now, it comes standard. When you open it, it comes set at 0.625. So you can take this little handle and move it down, and you can see where it moves. You get back a little bit. It's not a ton, but you get back a little bit. Any little bit of space helps. So the next thing we're going to do is I'm going to add my design inside. So I'm going to merge rather than open a new document, and I'm going to click on my design that I want to make into a sticker and hit OK. Now when this opens, you see this is a PNG, and this will only work with, as far as image files, this will only work with PNGs. JPEGs will not work for this. This is a feature in some of the newer versions of Silhouette Studio where it has an auto trace. So just by me opening it, it traced the outside. When I made this sticker, I put a white border around it, so it traced cutting lines. And you can see these are cutting lines. If you go to your send panel, you will see that red cut line. So this is a feature that there may be instances when you don't want it, so you have to turn it off. But I will show you real quick. In Edit, Preferences, it's in the Import, and PNG Auto Trace. So if you click that off, I will show you what it looks like. And then now I go back, I take the same design and import. This did this to me a few minutes ago. Let's try that again. Okay, so this is what we get. Full white background and no cut marks. So if you send it to your panel, there's nothing. There's no cut marks. It's an image file, and it imported it just as an image file. So I'm going to go back and turn those on because I want that. For this, it's easier for me to use the auto trace than to go back and go into my trace panel and mess with that. I don't need to. It's already there. So I will go back and open that up. And right now it's over 12 inches, so I don't need a 12-inch sticker of mittens. So I'm going to size that down. And normally what I would do, of course, I would size it to the size I want and then copy and paste and continue to fill up fill up my space. But for the convenience of time, I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to work with the one so you can see how to do this. So right now, the way it's set, I have one cut mark. So when I go to send, there's my cut line. Well, what I said about the problem sometimes with the stickers is getting it to release from the paper if you don't have slits already in your paper. So what I like to do with mine, I bought one of those little tools, those little slice tools, but it kind of left marks on my sticker and I didn't really like it. So what I've done is added an extra cut mark. I've added an extra layer to cut. So in order to do this, I just select my design. I go to my offset panel and I add an offset. I leave it the standard. It doesn't need to be very big and I don't want to waste any more paper than I need to. So I'll apply. Okay, so right now, the way we have it, this is exactly what it's going to cut. It's going to cut to the same. And you can do this especially if you have a ratchet blade. You're not going to be able to get around this doing things in two different steps. But if you have an auto blade, which means you have a Cameo 3 or a Cameo 4, then you don't have to make it. You can do all of this in one step. So the first thing I need to do after I've added my second offset, I guess, is I need to change that color of the line. So I'm going to use purple. It doesn't matter what color you use. Makes no difference whatsoever. Just as long as you can see it. Make it easy on yourself. So I'm going to go ahead and select both and I'm going to group them so that I can move it around, and then I can copy, paste, and fill up the page as I need to. Okay, so we've gone through, you've done your printing, and you're ready to start cutting. So we're going to go to our send menu, and like I said, if you start with the simple, you would have to ungroup and tell one line not to cut, and then you would have to go back and do everything again. But an easier way to do this is to use your line panel. So you have both lines, your red and your purple. It's right here. And when you cut by line, you can tell your machine to cut according to your line color. So right now, the way it's set up, we are going to use our tool number 1, our auto tool, because that's selected for both of them. And it's going to cut our purple line. Our purple line, we want to be a full cutout. I want it to be a full cutout. So this is going to cut completely out of the backing, or completely out of the paper. I don't want to have to weed anything. I don't want, this isn't going to be the kiss cut. This needs to be completely detached. So I already have it set up. I've played with settings for this paper, and this is the setting I like, which I have as a full cutout. And for me, I like 6. I have the force all the way up, and I did 2 passes. I've had trouble getting it to go all the way, to cut all the way out, and it leaving places on the paper that it didn't cut out. So this has worked best for me. And I'm going to leave it like that. Auto blade, I want it to cut. And as you can see, it's right there, full cutout. Then my red line, which is going to be my kiss cut line, I want to make that different. I don't want it all the way cut out. That's the point of doing this in 2 different steps. So I am going to use a user-defined. These are my user-defined settings that I've played with my paper, and this is what I like, and I don't have problems with it releasing. So I'm going to choose my kiss cut, and for me, I have it set on 1, a force of 15, and speed of 5, and then only 1 pass. Now, the reason you have to be careful with the kiss cut is if you cut it too deep, it won't release from the backing. You're going to push that top part, that vinyl or whatever it is you're cutting, you're going to push it down into the backing of the paper and it's not going to release well. So that's why I had to do several cuts to get this to where I liked it so that it cut out, and I was able to weed this little spot right here. I was able to weed this out without it sticking to my kiss cut, and to get it so it could release from the backing easily. So right now, if I load my paper and I hit send, what it's going to do, it will cut in order. So it will cut the first thing I have listed here, which is the purple. If I do that, then it's going to cut all of my mittens out before it does the kiss cut. And then you're probably going to ruin your cut. So what I want it to do, I want it to cut my kiss cut first, then cut it all the way out. So it's very simple. You just take your mouse, hold down on the color, and drag and drop. Just move it. So you can move them around however you want, but say, that's how I had it to start with. But like I said, I want my red to cut first. So I just move it down. So now I have it on, and I have my red. My red's going to cut first, and it's going to cut my kiss cut. I've already checked my settings. I'm using my auto blade and the tool it's going to cut. Then, also using the auto blade, I have that cut turned on, that line turned on. It's my purple, and it's my full cut, again, the auto blade. So now all I have to do is load my paper and hit send. It will cut exactly in that order. It will cut both lines. It will cut two different settings. And once it finishes all of the kiss cut, then it will go to the full cut. And then that's it. I will have all that done in one step. I don't have to change anything. I don't have to go back and change settings. I don't have to group and ungroup and do all the things that you would have to do in this. If you're using this, I would have to ungroup. I would have to tell it to no cut. Then I would have to try to select this one and tell it I only want to cut that. And then when it's finished, I have to go back and tell it not to cut. And then to tell it to cut and then to tell it to cut the outline. So you don't have to do any of that if you use your line cutting. And just make sure, the biggest thing is to make sure that you have the colors put in the correct order and that you have your different settings. And that's it. And then you just send it to the machine.